Hello and welcome to Current Issues. I am Ajita Jain. The Election Commission held a hearing in Chandigarh today in the Haryana Rajya Sabha election controversy, which led to the election of businessman Subhash Chandra. INLD candidate R.K. Anand has alleged that pen was changed in the voting hall premises as part of a conspiracy. This led to 12 votes of the Congress party be declared invalid and led to the victory of Subhash Chandra. In this case, many eminent individuals, including former Haryana Home Minister Subhash Patra and Haryana Pradesh Congress Committee Ashok Tabar, have levelled allegations of malpractices and subversion of democratic process in the Rajya Sabha polls and has demanded that a re-election be held. Today, we will discuss this issue with Congress spokesperson Mr. Virendra Rathore, senior journalist Mr. T.R. Ramachandran. But let's have a look at what R.K. Anand had to say today after he came out from the inquiry. So there's some problem with the audio there. We will try and play this bite again for you, but let me tell you that today some very serious allegations have been put by Mr. R.K. Anand. In fact, some very strong evidences are put there in front of the Election Commission. They have come up with some call details in which a gentleman called Mr. Virendra Mohan, his call details are there. He has spoken. He's a close aide of Mr. Subhash Chandra, and he has spoken to some odd 26 number of times to the returning officer and with the ARO. So let me come to you first, Mr. T.R. Ramachandran. Why would a close associate of Subhash Chandra, what's his business to talk to RO and ARO so many times before the voting?
This issue had cropped up as soon as the poll was over in the Rajya Sabha and the result was announced. I think the Election Commission should have straight away instituted an inquiry to remove all doubts in the minds of the candidates before really announcing the result. But anyway, that's a thing of the past. If so many evidences have been put before the Election Commission, which had called the parties concerned for a hearing today, I guess these would obviously, have an impact on the overall investigations, which should have been undertaken in the first instance itself. Nevertheless, I think Mr. R.K. Anand, as of now, seems to have quite a strong case for himself, and he has brought forth all the evidences before the Election Commission.
Right.
It's for them, it's for the Election Commission primarily to decide, because what it involves here is the very credibility of the Election Commission of India, which has done a tremendous job in holding elections in this country since 1952. I think it is for the Election Commission to remove all doubts and make it clear what the correct situation is, so that their own reputation doesn't come into disrepute.
Right. Let me go across to Mr. Virendra Rathore. Now, Mr. Virendra Rathore, how strong do you find these evidences that have been presented today by Mr. R.K. Anand?
Well, I feel that this is one of the rarest of rare case, and a case of a very unique nature, where all sort of allegations have been levelled by Shri R.K. Anand, and today he has filed affidavits of almost 28 MLAs which have come forward and stated that they have voted in favour of Shri R.K. Anand. I think the call is now to be taken by the Election Commission. Not only the credibility of Election Commission is now at stake, it should come out boldly, and I would suggest that the kind of allegations which have been levelled, they clearly point that this election should be declared null and void, and an example should be set by the Election Commission. And even as per the Constitution, the Election Commission has got ample powers. This is a case of unique kind of a malpractice.
Right, but why do you think, Mr. Rathore, why Election Commission,
which has never happened?
Yes, Mr. Rathore, as you said, that Election Commission has immense powers, undoubtedly, but why do you think Election Commission is not exercising those powers?
This is what I am trying to say. it's been almost 20 days. The complaint was handed over to Election Commission. The constitution of this country gives them immense powers under Article 324 of the Constitution to hold free and fair elections, may it be of the Parliament or of Vidhan Sabha, and they should now come forward and exercise their powers under Article 324. And if they come to a conclusion that unfair practices have been adopted to, and the result of the election has been tilted in favor of Shri Subhash Chandra by adopting to unfair practices and or malpractices, then of course Election Commission should come forward and declare this election as null and void. But why Election Commission is waiting? I fail to understand. This is a question which, this is a big question which Election Commission needs to answer before.
Right, Mr. Ramachandran, if not null and void, then at least there should be a stay. Mr. Rathore, I'll come to you. If not null and void, the immediate measure that could have been taken by the Election Commission is to put a stay on the result.
Listen, I think we've come too far down the line after the Rajya Sabha election, and I think prior to that, they should have instituted an inquiry then and there after the results were announced.
Right.
But having come this far, and they have themselves called for a hearing in the election, in Nirvachan Sadan, the Election Commission of India, I think they will have to carefully weigh the evidence that has been put before them and take a decision without any further delay.
Right.
Because the more they drag their feet in the matter without reaching a conclusion and a definitive end, I think it is going to both damage the Election Commission of India and the credibility of the institution, which is an autonomous body and a creation of the Constitution.
Yes. I am now joined by Mr. Vijay Satokar, who is a senior journalist on phone line. Mr. Vijay Satokar, the manner in which a high-level conspiracy has been hashed and the way this fraud is perpetrated, you think the sanctity of the upper house has directly been challenged? And not only that, after what we have just discussed, the Election Commission, which is always known for its free and fair conduct of polls, now its integrity, Election Commission's repute is also under a serious cloud.
Yeah, if you notice one thing, the Rajya Sabha elections, or for that matter, legislative council elections in the states have routinely run into controversies for this reason or the other. I mean, if you recall, there have been cases in almost any other election to Rajya Sabha where allegations are made either of payment or purchase of MLAs and all that. And this seems to be a rather unusual case where the MLAs, according to the allegations, were misled and given wrong colored paints. I don't think these complaints and counter complaints, I think they have been taken note of by the Election Commission, but to expect them, it has rarely happened that the Election Commission has really stayed elections, except in the case of Lok Sabha. So I think due process will have to take place, and after that, I think the Election Commission will come to some conclusion.
Right. In the meantime, let me request the PCR to play a bite of Mr. Subhash Chandra, who is the prime accused in this entire episode. What he had to say after coming out from the Election Commission inquiry.
हरियाणा के चीफ इलेक्शन ऑफिसर को फैक्ट फाइंडिंग मिशन के लिए कुछ कंप्लेंट्स भेजी थी जो मेरे अपोनेंट्स के द्वारा दी गई थी उनको, लेकिन जो हमारी कंप्लेंट थी और हमारी रिप्रेजेंटेशन इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया को, जो कि हमने 15 तारीख को भेजी थी, 15 जून को, जो उनके द्वारा 20 तारीख को रिसीव की गई दिल्ली में, वो अभी तक भी उनके पास नहीं आई। इसलिए हमने चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर को, चीफ इलेक्शन ऑफिसर को ये दरखास्त की कि आप वो कंप्लेंट भी आए तभी आप इंक्वायरी को कंक्लूड करिए।
What kind of an excuse is Mr. Subhash Chandra trying to make here, Mr. Ramachandran?
Well, he claims to have given a complaint on the 15th and it has not reached the Election Commission. Today is the 25th.
Right,
it's
but
quite amazing.
Absolutely, and if you see his conduct himself, the way he's been trying to evade this inquiry, I mean, you do not see any substance in this.
Well, as I said, I think we are not really over there to hear all the proceedings. And I think it's for the Election Commission now to take a quick call and decide one way or the other. Otherwise, this is going to become a huge controversy and questions are going to be raised against the conduct of elections by the Election Commission of India, a body created under the Constitution.
Right.
In the overall analysis, I would say that this is becoming queerer and queerer, and somewhere a stop has to be put. Otherwise, what is really going to happen is some nasty exchanges between the two contestants. But I think Mr. R.K. Anand has done enough work to provide the necessary evidence required for the Election Commission to reach a conclusion one way or the other.
Right. Mr. Virendra Rathore, how would you react to this lame defense of Mr. Subhash Chandra, which we just saw?
I am very surprised. What kind of a complaint is expected to be lodged by Mr. Chandra to the Election Commission? He has benefited himself. He is the beneficiary. Rather, he should not complain of anything. Things have tilted in his favor by way of adopting all sort of malpractices. So I don't think he should have any grievance or any complaint to Election Commission of India, because he is the direct beneficiary of the entire episode. So it is just a delaying tactics which I feel he is adopting, so that or in trying to build some kind of external pressures upon the election system by way of filing such complaints. And I must tell you, it's been almost 20 days. It is not only for the Election Commission to come forward and intervene. It was also a case of criminal conspiracy, fraud and cheating.
Right.
It's been almost 20 days. Mr. R.K. Anand has filed complaints to the concerned police stations, but as of now, till today, no action has been taken on the complaints which have been lodged by Mr. R.K. Anand. What does this convey?
Case has
This
not been
conveys that
registered so
there is
far.
tremendous amount of political pressure that has been built upon. Yes, the first and foremost thing that the SHO of the concerned police station should have done was he should have registered the case and started the investigation, because it also involves it is a case of criminal conspiracy, it's a case of cheating, it's a case of fraud on the people of this country, it's a case of death of democracy. Though both the angles, role of Election Commission and role of investigating agencies, though both the roles should have gone simultaneously. But till as of today, investigation has not commenced. What does this show? This shows that Mr. Chandra has managed the entire political system, and he has put a tremendous amount of political pressure from BJP upon the investigating officers, and as a consequence of which till today no FIR has been registered. And same is the case with the Election Commission. What he is trying to say, Election Commission is an autonomous body, it is a statutory body, as Mr. Ramchandra has rightly said, and it has to work in a very independent manner. What kind of complaint Mr. Chandra is filing before Election Commission of India? He should not have any grievance. It is a clear case where MLAs have voted against him, numbers have gone against him, but the result has been tilted in his favor. So what, he should have no grievances at all. The grievances, if any, should, were with Mr. R.K. Anand, and he has rightly raised all the grievances before each and every forum. Now things are being delayed by different kind of pressures that are being put either by the ruling government at the central level or at the state level.
Right. I'll go across to Mr. Vijay Satokar. Mr. Vijay Satokar, what do you think? A lot of money power is also involved in this murky episode?
Well, I mean, as I said just now, I mean, Rajya Sabha elections have always been surrounded. I mean, many controversies have taken place. There have been videos taken surreptitiously and aired of money being exchanged, and political parties have been hauled up and criticized. And political parties in some cases have also defended that, okay, this is how it happens and all, we should not be alone caught and all that. So money power is nothing new when it comes to Rajya Sabha elections. And what remains to be seen now, how quickly, as I said, it is an unusual case of allegations. Usually, Rajya Sabha elections, cross-voting is something people are afraid and the political parties are scared of. And money power, of course, yes. But this involvement of different colored paints been given, and when certain votes were certainly to be in favor of the candidate who lost. So this is unusual, and I suppose in this case the Election Commission needs, as my other panelists here are saying, I think the Election Commission should expedite the hearing and come to some conclusion.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Mr. Vijay Satukar, for joining us on the show. I'll now go across to the correspondent, Sarva Mitra. Our correspondent has been tracking this story. Sarva Mitra, you've been tracking this story all along. Today has been a very happening day, very hectic day for you. Tell me, a lot of interesting things coming out from Chandigarh after all those call details that Mr. R.K. Anand spoke about. Tell us what were the highlights today.
जी बिल्कुल, आज एक नया खुलासा जो आर के आनंद की ओर से किया गया कि इसमें जो कॉल डिटेल्स उन्होंने दी हैं 26 बार जो रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर हैं या जो असिस्टेंट रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर हैं उनकी बातचीत हुई है। जो सुभाष चंद्रा की चुनाव के एजेंट थे मिस्टर वीरेंद्र मोहन, 26 बार 3 दिन लगातार बातचीत हुई है। ये आज कॉल डिटेल आर के आनंद की ओर से रखी गई है। कुछ एविडेंस 28 एमएलए के एविडेंस रखे गए हैं कि इन 28 एमएलए ने वोट किया था। अगर पेन चेंज हुआ है तो उसकी जिम्मेदारी वहां पर इलेक्शन कमीशन की बनती है और ये एक पुख्ता सबूत है। साथ ही वीडियोग्राफी देखने के बाद जो एक क्लिप बनाई है आर के आनंद ने कि किस तरीके से मूवमेंट, जब बीजेपी के विधायक असीम गोयल वोट कर रहे हैं और सबसे ज्यादा समय ले रहे हैं, उनके जो लेग की मूवमेंट कैसी हो रही है, उनके पाम की मूवमेंट कैसी हो रही है, उससे साफ पता चलता है। और इशारों में बातचीत हो रही है एआरओ के साथ। तो ये कुछ पुख्ता सबूत रखे गए हैं जिसको लेकर आर के आनंद का कहना है कि ये पुख्ता सबूत हैं, इस पर इलेक्शन कमीशन को ध्यान देना चाहिए। और उन्होंने समय भी मांगा है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन उनको जल्द से जल्द समय दे, वो दिल्ली में अपनी बात एक बार फिर मुख्य चुनाव आयोग के सामने रख सकें।
Right. Thank you very much, Sarva Mitra, for all that update. I would now request the PCR to play R.K. Anand's bite, which we were not able to play in the beginning, and let's see what he has to say after the inquiry.
इलेक्शन कमीशन को इस मामले में बड़ी तय तक जाना चाहिए कि ये आदमी रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर बनने के लायक नहीं है। नंबर 2, जब आप रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर बन गए तो आपका काम क्या है? नॉमिनेशन पेपर रिसीव करना, स्क्रूटनी करना और इलेक्शन करवाना। अब रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर अगर आपको फोन करके कैंडिडेट के उससे बात करे और 2-2, 3-3 मिनट, 4-4 मिनट रात को 11 बजे भी बात करे और वो भी साथ में बात करे तो क्या साबित होगा? मेरे से तो कोई कॉल डिटेल में मेरा नाम तो है नहीं कहीं, मेरे से आज तक उसने कभी बात नहीं की, मेरे किसी ऑथराइज एजेंट से बात नहीं की। वो सुभाष चंद्र से भी रोज बात कर रहे हैं और रोज जो कॉल्स हैं वो उनके जो वीरेंद्र मोहन है उनसे बात भी हो रही है। ये मेरे पास डिटेल है, आप इसकी फोटो लेना चाहो ले लो, मैं कॉपी में आपको सबको दे दूंगा।
कितनी कॉल्स हैं
इसकी अभी तक मेरे पास जो हैं 26 कॉल हैं। 26
कौन सी डेट की है सर?
मैं आपको दे दो, 26 कॉल हैं जो इन्होंने नंदल साहब से बात की है। मैंने पूछा पहले दिन भी कि भैया आप ये मुझे बता दो कि क्या सुभाष चंद्रा 10 तारीख को यहाँ आए या नहीं आए। ये डिनाई कर गए। तो मैंने कहा भैया बता दो अगर आपकी बात हुई क्यों नहीं, ये डिनाई कर गए। आज मैंने कहा देखिए मेरे पास कॉल डिटेल हैं आपकी, आपके सारे ऑफिस को पता है, सारे स्टाफ को पता है कि 10 तारीख को आप यहाँ आए। सारा स्टाफ विधानसभा का जानता है कि 10 तारीख को वो यहीं थे और यहां से ऊपर गए। अकेले नहीं थे, 8 आदमी थे। तो आज हमने ये साबित कर दिया कि रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर जो है वो टोटली मिक्सड अप है सुभाष चंद्रा और उनके ऑथराइज एजेंट के साथ में। मैंने वीडियो क्लिपिंग उसकी बना के मैंने दिखा दिया है कि एआरओ को असीम गोयल इशारा करता है।
So this was after today's hearing. How serious do you find this, Mr. Ramachandran?
Well, I think we all know the capabilities of Mr. R.K. Anand as a lawyer, and I think he is not going to mess with any of the facts that he is going to collect. It's not very easy to collect these kind of details, and that to furnish it to the Election Commission. I think the only thing I can say is Mr. Anand, as it seems now, has a foolproof case. And I'm not going to decide it, neither is Mr. Rathore or anybody else. It's only the Election Commission which will have to decide this. And it will be in the own interest of the Election Commission to decide it after careful perusal of everything before it and take a call. And that call should be taken urgently rather than delaying it any further. Because the more you delay it, the suspicions will arise. As Mr. Rathore said, why wasn't an FIR filed simultaneously when Mr. Anand had filed a complaint with the SP in Chandigarh. Well, the SP has been passing on the buck or whatever it is difficult for us to say. But nevertheless, an FIR should have been filed promptly, which only suggests that there has been intense political pressure to wait and watch what is going to happen.
Right. Mr. Rathore, what do you expect now from Election Commission after so many evidences, such strong evidences there? What do you expect? What are your expectations?
My expectation from Election Commission would be that they should now come forward and set an example before the people of this country. The restoration of faith in the system is also required to be done in the coming days. So this call has to be taken by the Election Commission. They have to prove before this country that their conduct is above board. They work autonomously and statutorily and without any undue pressures. So this example Election Commission has to set. And I would also like to comment upon Mr. R.K. Anand's allegation. Like, we all have been contesting elections. I myself have contested 3 assembly elections, Ajita, but never ever we have ever called returning officers. I never think that we've ever called any returning officer during the election process. Here is a case where the returning officer is talking to continuously 26 calls are being made. I fail to understand what kind of a process he was trying to understand from the returning officer.
Right.
The process was very simple. It was not a complex process. Why 26 calls are being made? I myself can say I have contested 3 elections. I have never ever talked to the returning officer.
Anybody can smell the rat.
Process. There is no necessity of talking to the returning officers so many times. Yes, this clearly points that there was a conspiracy going on which was being hatched at the behest of returning officer to sabotage the entire Rajya Sabha elections, and which have been very well doctored, I would say, at the instance of Dr. Subhash Chandra.
Right, but you think these evidences now should suffice for Election Commission
MLAs.
to take an appropriate step regarding the matter?
Yes.
And these elections should immediately be called off. They should be cancelled, and there should be a repoll.
Of course, I just want to put one more question. 28 of the elected representatives have now filed an affidavit saying that we have voted in favor of Mr. R.K. Anand. How can you disbelieve the elected representatives of this country? They have been misled, they have been befooled, and fraud have been played upon the elected representatives themselves. So now they have come forward with affidavits. So what more is required? Election Commission should believe the affidavits of the members of legislative assemblies and take a stern action and set aside this entire election process and order a repoll and invoke Article 324 of the Constitution. Article 324 of the Constitution gives them ample powers to hold free and fair election. The conducting of the election process is controlled by Article 324. It means that they would conduct the election in a free, fair manner. If the election process is not fair or it is embedded with malpractices, then they can arrive at a conclusion on the basis of this inquiry.
But Mr. Rathore, are you going to wait for election?
Prima facie is sufficient.
Yes.
For the
Mr.
election.
Rathore, is Congress going to wait for Election Commission's verdict, its decision, or are you going to seek High Court's intervention in the meantime?
Ajita, as far as Congress is concerned, after that mandate given by Srimati Sonia Gandhi, all the Congress MLAs have voted in favor of Shri R.K. Anand. Now R.K. Anand ji is an independent candidate. It is a call which has to be taken by him. My personal view as a legal expert also is that the remedies are open to him. He can always approach the Honorable High Court in an election petition and redress his grievances. But at the same time, it is a test case for Election Commission. Before he goes to the High Court, Election Commission has also should also come forward and invoke Article 324 and set aside this election. And if that is not done by the Election Commission, then of course Mr. R.K. Anand has got a remedy to approach the Honorable High Court by way of filing an election petition.
Right. Mr. Ramachandran, what do you think? What would be the logical step? That Election Commission's verdict should be I mean, should Congress, Mr. R.K. Anand and other people should wait for the Election Commission's verdict, or should they seek High Court's intervention, or can High Court itself take a suo motu cognizance of the matter?
Well, I think Mr. R.K. Anand has a strong case already. But if you have come this far and the Election Commission has already instituted an inquiry, called both the parties to the dispute to present whatever evidence they have before it, I think you need to wait for the Election Commission to announce its verdict. I think your case becomes that much more stronger, whatever the decision the Election Commission announces, then go to the High Court, the next higher step, and come forward with an election petition. If the Election Commission,
but if they take,
if the decision is in favor of Mr. Anand, I think the matter ends there. I mean, otherwise
Right.
you'd be prolonging the matter.
right, but till what time should they wait? Because it's taken so long, and everybody's talking about that matter should be
Well, I'm
expedited.
sure the Election Commission also must be realizing now that if they don't deal with this issue expeditiously, I think they will, it's only their reputation which is being tarnished. So I don't think they will delay this too much.
So it's
But they
their-
need to be convinced that all the papers that they have received by way of evidence are okay, and they have to look to the other side if they want to present something, and after that take a decision. You can't take a unilateral decision anyway.
Right. So now, primarily responsibility of the Election Commission, and everybody is actually looking at Election Commission, what Election Commission's verdict would be and how long will that take. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramachandran, for joining me on this show today here, and Mr. Virendra Rathore, thank you very much for your time. That's all we have in Current Issues today. Keep watching News World India. Goodbye.